Hey guys, Dekin from Team Crimson, and today we're going to be talking about overtriggers. Okay, so we had some reveals from over the weekend, which I will go over in another video, but we're going to be talking about overtriggers just real briefly and my thoughts on them. So we already have an overtrigger, actually two, the Dragon Empire and Dark States one that we knew, but they re-revealed them. So the card is called Dragon Deity King of Resurgence Dragveta. Obviously, you know when you damage check an overtrigger, it disappears, removed from the game, and you draw a card, and you give one of your units, which will most likely be your Vanguard, 100 million power. So it's essentially a heal, your fifth copy of a heal. Well, it also applies to when you drive check them, you give one of your units 100 million power, it is removed from the game and you draw a card, and then each nation has their own effect. Like the Cray Elemental one was give another unit 100 million, so it'd give 2 units instead of 1. But the additional effect of the Dragon Empire one is choose one of your Vanguards and stand it. We had already talked about it. It is Overlord, the trigger, which is nice. Will almost never be not good. And just usable with anything, especially with the Nirvana. You swing with Nirvana, counterblast, 10k buff to your Virenas and stuff, and your other overdressed cards, and then 10k buff to himself, overtrigger, restand it, do it again. But then we go on to Dark States, which is Hades, Dragon Deity of Resentment, Galmahad, has the 100 million power, and then additional effect, you get during your turn, all of your Vanguards get power plus 10k, critical plus 1 until end of this fight. So this essentially is like a Force 1 and Force 2 marker for the entirety of the game on your Vanguard, which is really nice. Because if you check this on your grade 1 swing, then you are inflicting pressure the entire game, which is what this deck has a hard time doing, especially the Final Rush variant, is you are vanilla all the way up until your turn 4. But this guy fixes that. Really, really good. Obviously, you check it as a damage, it's still fine because it just disappears. But yes, moving on. We got a new card for, this is now Brantgate, Star Dragon Deity of Infitude, Eldo Breath. Obviously 100 million. And then additional effect, double the power and critical of all your front row units until end of this turn. Increase to double its power and critical when activated. So this essentially fixes one of the biggest issues that Brantgate has, where they have low numbers and not a lot of pressure. Your Vanguard will always be 23 plus, and even with the new Orfist, your Vanguard's always going to be 18 plus, and then you'll have your 15k rear guard, so 30k columns. But this just helps boost those numbers. And depending on the time you drive check it, it's going to be really good, because this then is saying all your attacks are now 2 damage, and they're a lot bigger than they were before. On a Persona Ride turn, in the, just use the Orfist deck, for example, you'll have your 15k tokens in Orfist. You drive check this on a Persona Ride, so your Vanguard's 28, your rear guards are 25. Well, now those rear guards become 50 double critical, and your Vanguard is 56 double critical. So really nice. That will almost never not be good also. All these cards that we're seeing are all very usable and interchangeable. But moving on to Ketters, is Light Dragon Deity of Honors, Amaterino. They got such crazy names. But obviously 100 million on drive check, and then additional effect until end of turn. You also perform drive checks for the battles of your rear guard attacks. So this is really useful for Bastion. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe it's when you drive check a grade 3, once per turn, you discard a card, and restand rear guard with plus 10k. So this essentially is saying now you have 6 drive checks, and stuff just got a whole lot more interesting. But then there is another deck for Keter that is Hex Orb, where they revolve around drive checks and manipulating the top deck. So this is also going to be really nice for that too, because you'll be able to manipulate the top deck. If you have your Overtrigger, then you know that your rear guards are going to have your boosts, your drive checks, so you can swing with Vanguard first, then your rear guards. Again, really, really good. I don't see that going away anytime soon. I don't see any of these going away anytime soon, to be completely honest. And then the last card for Stoichia is Source Dragon Deity of Blessing, Bless Favor. Obviously the 100 million. And its additional effect is draw a card. Choose one of your units. It gets critical +1 until end of turn. All of your front row gets power plus 10k. And that is continuous. Gets power plus 10k. And then if your damage zone has more cards than your opponent, choose a card from your damage zone and heal it. So this is essentially a draw trigger, critical, front, and heal all in one card. So that is really nice. And since it buffs your front row by 10k, it doesn't say until end of turn, so we can assume that means permanently. Your rear guards are going to be anywhere from 20 to 25, depending on what you're playing. If you're playing Magnolia, this works a whole lot better because you can just move them to the back row when you Persona Ride, and now your back row rear guards can actually hit for numbers, and you just got to worry about beefing up that middle column rear guard. Even for Zorga, or the Zolga, well, I don't know, whatever his name is, Alchemagic, for the alcoholic, this works really well with it too, because you are able to then buff your front row, which makes them harder to get rid of, so you can keep your combo pieces and then just keep buffing them through your orders. But it's really awesome because you're already drawing 1 off of checking it and giving the 100 million. Now you're drawing 2, possibly healing, and giving all these bonuses, so another one of your rear guards can become lethal. Is super nice. All of these Overtriggers are really nice, and they're really useful. Even the Cray Elemental one, I can see some people splashing it in every now and again instead of the, if they're planning on not playing the nation-based Overtrigger, then yeah, you can just splash that in because it's still 100 million to 2 rear guards. Bastion will like that, so you might see some Bastion decks like that. Brant could like that. I think they'd prefer the buff to the front row, as Bastion probably would prefer the rear guards getting drive checks too. But I mean, there's so many options with that now, and all of these Overtriggers are really good. So I will cover in another video of the reveals from this past week and the other triple rares that we went over. Well, that we didn't go over, my bad. But yeah, leave your comments down below and your thoughts and your impressions of this. How do you like these cards? Do you like them? Do you not like them? You can't really say there's a best one, in my opinion at least, because they're all really good for their respective decks. But if you have a favorite one that you think is going to be broken, let me know. But yeah, that's it from me today, guys, and I'll see you later.